Chapter 1. The Awakening. In the opening chapter of His Name is George Floyd, the authors introduce us to the man behind the name that sparked a global movement. George Perry Floyd Jr., a 46-year-old African-American man, was born and raised in Houston, Texas. The chapter dives into his early life, shedding light on the experiences and circumstances that shaped him into the person he would become. From his childhood filled with dreams and aspirations to the challenges he faced growing up in a predominantly black neighborhood, we gain a deeper understanding of the context in which George's story unfolds. Chapter 2. Houston's Wounds. Chapter 2 focuses on the city of Houston, exploring its history of racial tension, inequality, and systemic oppression that laid the foundation for the events surrounding George Floyd's tragic death. The authors delve into the history of racial segregation, the formation of gangs, and the rise of crack cocaine in the neighborhood where George grew up. Through interviews with community members and experts, detailed accounts of racial profiling, and stories of resilience, the chapter reveals the deep-rooted wounds that continue to plague the city. Chapter 3. A Life Interrupted. This chapter delves into the challenges George Floyd faced throughout his life, including his struggles with drugs, violence, and multiple incarcerations. It explores how systemic issues, such as the lack of economic opportunities and access to quality education, contributed to the cycle of poverty and crime in his community. The authors also highlight the importance of understanding and addressing the underlying factors that often trap individuals in a cycle of hopelessness and despair. Chapter 4. The Cries for Justice. Chapter 4 explores the events surrounding George Floyd's death on May 25, 2020, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It provides a detailed account of the encounter with the police officers, the horrific images captured on video, and the immediate outcry from witnesses demanding justice. The authors highlight the power of social media and how it played a central role in galvanizing the public and sparking a global movement against racial injustice and police brutality. Chapter 5. The Faces of the Movement. This chapter examines the diverse group of individuals who emerged as leaders and activists following George Floyd's death. It highlights the Black Lives Matter movement, the role of social activists, community organizers, and influential figures who lent their support to the cause. The authors shed light on the challenges and triumphs faced by these individuals as they work to raise awareness, seek justice, and address the systemic issues that perpetuate racial inequality. Chapter 6. A Nation Divided. Chapter 6 explores the impact of George Floyd's death on the nation, focusing on the polarized responses it evoked. The authors examine how the incident served as a catalyst for conversations about racism, police reform, and the urgent need for change. They provide insight into the political climate surrounding the movement, highlighting both the support and resistance that emerged from different sectors of society. Chapter 7. The Trial of Derek Chauvin. In this chapter, the authors provide a detailed account of the trial of Derek Chauvin, the police officer charged in George Floyd's death. They delve into the proceedings, witness testimonies, and the strategies employed by the defense and prosecution. The chapter also examines the emotional impact of the trial on the Floyd family and the broader community, while addressing the larger systemic issues that the trial represents. Chapter 8. Beyond George Floyd. Concluding the book, Chapter 8 explores the lasting impact of George Floyd's death and the subsequent movement for change. The authors discuss the steps taken towards police reform, the ongoing fight against systemic racism, and the importance of sustaining the momentum generated by the movement. They also reflect on the personal transformation experienced by individuals who became activists, shedding light on the power of collective action and the pursuit of justice. In His Name is George Floyd, R.Samuels and Olorunnipa provide a comprehensive and deeply human account of the incredible journey that began with one man's tragic death and turned into a global movement for justice and equality. Through the personal and societal narratives woven throughout the book, readers are invited to reflect on the ways in which we can all contribute to creating a more just and inclusive future.